It's the dream again. The city of soul. Yeah, look at me. 숨겨온 감정들은 take it up. Look at me. 다들 손을 줘.
It's a lot, but not necessarily in a bad way. It's far from my favorite track by them, but it's also not bad by any means. It has a certain character that I think a lot of other songs alike are missing. It has this sort of atmosphere as what I think most would classify as noise music, but the song actually flows rather smoothly. The only part of the song that is off-putting to me in any way is the chanting in the second half of the chorus, but other than that, while the rest of the song isn't anything revolutionary, it's not nearly as bad as people make it out to be. I just hope they'll continue to grow with their music and not get caught in this trap of similar releases like other groups tend to.
Hit the bass like
Blitzers have always had this perfect mix of K-pop and rock in their titles. I always said their releases sound like if Inflying were to cover a Stray Kids song. But recently, this year, they have taken a heavier sound to this music, and while I did like the heavy metal-inspired bobbin, this song lacks creativity in comparison to some of their others. The drop is basic, and kinda throws off the progression of the song from beforehand without adding anything interesting to the song at the same time. That being said, I do love the dance break at the end of the song. It's definitely not the fun, playful feel from their first two releases, but it does give me hope that they haven't completely given up on their sound yet. I just hope that by their next release, they can realize their mistakes and come back with that same Blitzers charm from before. This is the first Hyuna song in a long time that I think genuinely sounds like her. It's fun, playful, catchy, and still a bit different. I think it's the perfect mix of what she's been releasing since she's joined P Nation and her style from before that. Hyuna has this way of making songs that should come off as really cheesy and corny and making them into something special. I really don't have any complaints for this song, it's just a good, fun time.
Let's pop in, let's take more. 뛰어다니는 너랑 그래 이 우리 groove.
MC&D's music has always been so full of life, and while I can't say most of it is my style, I can't deny the effort that they have put in to make such an oversaturated sound and style in the K-pop scene into their own thing. There are very few groups out there that can do what everyone else is doing and still stand out, and yet MC&D are one of the few. The energy and charisma they have is translated seamlessly, even in their music videos. My only complaint is that some of the verses in the song can sound a bit out of place at times, but honestly, I think that's done purposely, and is part of the charm of an MC&D song, whether that was the original intention or not. This, overall, is one of the best releases that they've had in a long while, and if they can manage to keep this up, I have no doubt they'll eventually be able to release a true hit.
You got me drumming, drumming, 느껴져 뭔가 다른 vibe.
Now this is how you have fun. Once again, this song isn't anything super special or revolutionary or anything like that, but it is still just a good, fun listen. I love when groups realize that not every song has to be taken completely seriously to be considered a good song, and the ones that can manage to just let loose and go crazy on a good track are the ones that are the most fun to listen to. If a group at least looks like they're having fun, 9 times out of 10 I'll find myself having a good time as well, even if the song isn't always completely my style. A good and fun attitude can make even a simple song stand out if done right, and this is a great example of that. I had fallen so in love with Apink's new sound and style that I don't think I realized how much I missed the sound from the earlier days. The song doesn't really do anything that we haven't seen before, both from them as well as other artists, but I can't deny how much I miss seeing the sound on groups. I never really cared too much for songs from the second gen, even less so these softer songs that normally lose their touch after just a few years, but hearing it again and seeing it portrayed by someone that truly knows what they're doing was so interesting. And while I can't say I want Apink to give up on the sound and style that they have right now, I can't help but fall in love with the subunit and hope that they will get to do even more in the future together. If you asked me to tell you why I like this song so much, I really, truly wouldn't have a real answer. I wasn't particularly looking forward to this debut or anything, and the song isn't a style that I normally really care for either. And while I do understand why most people are a bit indifferent to this song, I can't help but just really love it. I think half of it is the boys themselves. They're fun to watch, they match up well together, and overall they sound pretty good in the song. But I think the other half is the production of this song. I really love how the instrumental of the song flows. There's actually not a whole lot of variation in it from verse to verse, yet every part is almost jarringly different from the last. This also adds a great dynamic in the song. The producers knew when and where to let the instrumental speak, and when to let the members themselves show off on top of it. I also really like the end of the song, where it's just the boys chanting. That's not something you see very often, and I think it was a great way to place a relatively fast-paced ending. Overall, I really like the song, and I can't wait to see what comes next from them. WJSN rarely miss, and this song just proves that once again. I am obsessed with this deep sea sort of concept. It feels so mature and beautiful, but it also leans ever so slightly into the summer season magic. One thing the song has made me realize though is how far they've come from their original concepts. While I don't think that they have completely severed themselves from before and after, I do still kinda miss the magical girl feeling to some of their earlier releases. That being said, ever since The Natural, they have delved headfirst into this more mature sound, and it looks just as good on them. Without a doubt, they are still killing it with this concept, and I am sure that there are many, many more amazing songs to come from them. They have been killing it since day one. I am such a sucker for cute concepts, and they hit the nail on the head every single time. It definitely doesn't sound like something the average 4th gen group would release, but that's half of its charm. The chorus is just so big and bold, and the girls' harmonies add an extra layer to it that gives it an almost magical feel. This is what summer is all about. This playful, refreshing vibe with the slightest bit of magic mixed in and behind the scenes. There's only so much to say on a song like this. It's just so much fun and filled with so many playful melodies. What is there not to love? I still have really mixed feelings on this song. Aespa is another one of those groups that have managed to carve their own path through their music. And even though a lot of it isn't my style, I can't help but love what they're doing. There's so many layers to unfold in their music, and it really gives it this rather sleek feel to it. However, this one kinda trails off from that path. It's definitely their most digestible track yet, but I think it lacks a lot of that Aespa charm from before. That being said, it is still a really good song. It's the type of song I can just throw on a playlist without much thought. It's fun, catchy, and even without the added layers of its predecessors, it has a sleek feel to it that others like it don't. That ever so slight metallic taste is still there, and the song still sounds like an Aespa song. The only thing that's missing is that feeling of needing to dig down deep to get to the good stuff. It's like it's all already on the surface, ready for the taking. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I do think it takes away from some of the fun.
Walking on the moon.
I will admit that I do tend to like songs like this more than the average person. However, I do still think that this song is a lot better than people are giving it credit for. What is usually meant to be a more nostalgic feeling song is given even more with this slight longing, almost sensual feel portrayed in the song alongside the nostalgia. Their debut is going to be very, very hard to top in their careers, but would I be crazy if I said that this is a close second? All of their releases have been so different from the last that it's almost impossible to believe that they've all been released in just under 6 months. But I think that's part of what draws me to them. I'm not 100% sure on what their contracts look like or even how many releases they'll get, but I will most definitely be looking forward to each and every one. This is another one of those songs where there just isn't too much to say. It's a good, fun summer song with a bit of a smoother atmosphere than normal. SF9 isn't a group that I tend to listen to a whole lot, but they're a group that I can't help but really enjoy when they do come onto my radar. I really like their more cool guy attitude towards music in the recent years. They've really grown into their music, and it's a style that fits all of them really well. Seeing it translated so well into more of an upbeat summer song is just the icing on the cake. Yet another song that I definitely think I am enjoying a lot more than the average person. While I can admit that the drop is a bit jarring at first, I think the softer, sweeter verses actually offset the sassiness of the chorus really well. I love some good brass instruments in a song like this, so this song is already practically calling my name. The drop is actually pretty interesting if given the chance, and the attitude these girls have while singing it elevates it to a whole new level. Also, is it just me, or does this song have somewhat of a Western pop artist feel to it? It definitely sounds like something that would play on the radio, and just overall feels kind of familiar in a sense. Only One Up has had some amazing music since debut, and there was really no reason to believe that their solos would be any different. It's a tad bit early to decide on how exactly the rest of their solos will play out, with this being the song completing the first set, but I really like the back and forth between KB's release this month and Yoojung's release last month. Begin had a bit of a softer feel to it, the sort of sound that touched your heart and opened you up for your emotions to fall out. Meanwhile, Be Free has more of a fun, carefree feeling to it. It's the type of song that makes you want to get up and dance. It sets the rhythm and lets you do the rest. It's just such a fun song, and I am so excited to see if the next set of solos will have the same feeling to it as these two, or if they will go in a completely different direction. Now this is summer. This fun, fresh, catchy vibe. This is exactly what a summer release should sound like. Their debut wasn't my favorite thing ever, but this gives me hope that their future releases will be just as good. One could definitely argue that this song sounds like the other 100 of summer songs before it, but there is something about this one that keeps me from putting it down. There's not a single thing I don't like about it, and it just makes me want to smile every time the chorus hits. It's just simple summer fun, and that is truly all I could ever ask for. Chungha and me have always had a bit of a rocky relationship, though recently I have been enjoying her music much more, but I really think this is one of her best songs since Roller Coaster. I feel like most people tend to like her more mature side of music, like Snapping or Gotta Go, but this upbeat sound has always been one of my favorite looks on her. They have that same bold feel to them, but with more of a cutesy touch. It's something that she pulls off so well. I also love her voice in this song. It sort of teeters between playful and cute, and bold and powerful. It's different from the image I have of her in my head, yet sounds so much like her all at once. Definitely one of my favorites from her so far. I am such a sucker for all things rock and rock inspired, and I love when K-pop groups are really willing to dive deep into a sound like this. Ateez is probably one of the last groups I saw going so deep into this trend, but also one of the ones that pull it off the best. Their powerful personas give this style of music the little bit of oomph it needs to be truly spectacular. There is so much going on, and there's only a few pockets of air thrown in to allow you to catch your breath. The chorus is so hard-hitting, but so catchy at the same time. The vocals are almost more powerful than the guitars, and like in every other AT song, everybody is pulling their weight. It's definitely a sound that needs to find a certain niche to be enjoyed, but something that I think people who already enjoy this side of music will really appreciate. Now this is how you come back from a 6-month hiatus. Even with just one song and a few amazing covers, Xdinary Heroes had already stolen my heart, but this mini has really proven that they have a sound worth hearing. I was really scared that they'd eventually be forced into the classic indie sound that most other K-bands go for, but I'm so happy to see that they still have their individuality for now. Honestly, Test Me might just be the weakest song on this mini. They were all so good and title track worthy, but I do still love the choice to use this one. This song builds this really intense feeling, and it almost sounds like something that would be played in a spy movie. It really fits this whole infiltrating a video game concept that they have going, and overall, this song and album is just so amazing, and I'm so happy to have them back after so long. And they've done it again. The only thing I dislike about P1 Harmony is how long it took me to see how amazing they are. They normally go for a somewhat standard hip-hop sound for their releases, but there's something about their music that always manages to stand out from others. Doo Doo Doom is actually a bit more relaxed than some of their other releases this far. The anti-drop in the first part of the chorus is really setting the tone for the overall song. However, that doesn't last long though, because when the second half of the chorus pierces through with a bold and catchy rhythm, the song takes on a whole new feeling. Their songs are always just so very addictive, and all 6 of these boys bring something to each and every song that the others just can't. From vocals to rap to dance, they are so well-rounded, and not one member stands out too much from the others. There is so much charisma between them all, and you can feel their power even through the music video. I feel like I tend to brag on them a bit much recently, but there is really so much potential in this group, and I refuse to let it go to waste. This is such an amazing song, and I really hope that they'll continue to grow with their music as much as they have this far. Sneakers is just such a fun song. It's a bit on the simpler side for an Itzy track, but it has the same charm as they all do. I know a lot of people have really mixed feelings on this song, but I just can't help but think it's one of their best yet. Maybe it's because a lot of people compare it to Icy, and that is still by far my favorite from them, but I just can't help but really love how catchy and fun this song manages to be. A lot of people were really excited for the concept change, and while I will admit the promotions beforehand weren't handled the best, I'm actually really happy they decided to stick with their current sound a little bit longer. I guess I'm just not quite ready to give up this Itzy yet. Acoustic pop just isn't something many groups go for. It's a pretty common sound in music, but it can be a bit difficult to fit it into the performance side of K-pop. That being said, with Stacey's performances relying more on their vocals than doing crazy, dangerous moves, this makes it the perfect style for them. I really like how they managed to give this song that little bit of extra spark, though. The vocals are powerful enough on their own, but that doesn't mean the instrumental takes the backseat at all. It is a very different sound for K-pop, and while I don't see any other groups jumping on the trend, it definitely reminds me of something a solo artist released, and I would actually love to see someone like Jung Se-woon take part in a song such as this.
Okay, I'm nerdy, but I'm not stupid, I won't try.
Say what you will about the lyrics being cringy, this song is amazing in every way possible. The nasty bass line, the playful vocals, the overall concept, everything just hits the nail on the head. I will agree that Men Mem was not nearly as good as their releases beforehand, and while even this one is no zombie, it is certainly a step in the right direction. The sound of the song is pretty unique to them. It's a relatively simple song that relies mostly on the bass line to keep it going, but the girls' voices color it in something even better. I'm obsessed with this concept so far too. The playful horror reminds me so much of Halloween, and I really appreciate the fact that they are able to release some pretty heavy music with a bit of humor. It gives it a certain charm that makes it the slightest bit more relatable. Overall, this is by far the most intriguing release this month, and with such a heavy lineup, that is most certainly saying something.
So yeah, baby, I know what I want, I know what I want, I know what I want. Higher, 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 higher. 주인공은 내 온 세상 걷고 파란 불꽃이 되어 이 밤을 비춰 넌이 난 이불 속에 조금 쉬어가면 어때 밤새 들여다본 메시지 어쩜 그렇게 넌 bad boy I'm a race I'm a race Love is your gravity Ooh. Love is I'm gonna fly with you now 새롭게 시작해 날아가 너니 걱정 따윈 필요치 않아 반짝이던 너의 눈빛을 따라람 따람다 태양이 될 거야 너와 난 눈부신 샛별로 뜰 거야
드리워 인내져가 쓰러져가는 꽃처럼
You know what love is bad You know what love is bad
미친 듯이 거침없이 계속 달려나가 상처마저 완잎이 날 느꼈지 네 heart is burning 무엇도 느낄 수 없는 이곳은 full of light 모두가 잠들어 있는 이곳은 frozen night You know I ain't showing a thing That's my swagger 네 멋대로 걸어 Anything you want I'll be your yes man Only saying yes yeah